Hello, welcome back to the woods. First things first, let's get the kettle on. Now, if we are new to anything, including bushcraft, the first thing we tend to do nowadays is go straight onto the internet, go onto Google, type in bushcraft. And the first thing that comes up is a shopping bar across the top. Before anything else, there is that shopping bar. And on there will be the latest, the lightest, the brightest, the shiniest, the sharpest new bits of essential kit that you have to buy. Now, you and I both know that for bushcraft you actually don't need a great deal. Your hands and what's in your head. Yeah, there's a few bits and pieces that you're going to need. You're going to be spending time outdoors, so you're probably going to need the right clothing. You're also, if you're going to do some crafty type items, you're going to need some tools, and if you're going to be out overnight, you're going to need some camping type items. Now, for the person who is new to this all, it must all seem very, very daunting, because from what I see, everything that flashes up on the internet seems to cost an arm and a leg. So what I want to do in these next few videos is look at bushcraft on a budget. Stuff that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, stuff that is practical, and stuff that if you don't go ahead with your whole great bushcraft idea, it doesn't matter because you haven't spent a fortune. If you do, then it's stuff that is going to last you a good while and put you in good stead until you decide you want to spend more money on clothing, equipment, etc. So in this video, the first video in this series, we're going to look at clothing. Now, we all get these emails from our favourite purveyors of bushcraft equipment, and it will be the latest bit of clothing worn by some 6'4", broad-shouldered, chisel-jawed guy looking particularly windswept and interesting. And what we tend to do is we impose our face onto that guy. That's the image that they are selling us, and we think we have got to have that particular piece of kit, even though I'm not square-jawed, I'm not 6'4", and to be honest, I'm a bit overweight and a bit past it. Now, I just such an email the other day, and what it was advertising was the latest essential piece of clothing, and it's a New Zealand bush shirt, one of the high-tech ones made out of modern fabrics and endorsed by celebrity. This particular one was by Ridgeline, but there are other ones, Swazia, etc., and they put different celebrity names with them, and they charge us quite a lot of money. We're going to look at the cost of the Ridgeline one. It was 300 quid, 300 pounds for my American viewers, and I'm going to look at, well, if I took that 300 quid and didn't spend it on that shirt, what could I get instead? And what I think you could get for that is everything, head to toe, the whole lot, for your 300 quid, with quite a lot of change left over. So we're going to start at the top and make our way down. Now, one of the first things I'll say is you've probably already got quite a few items of kit and clothing at home that are suitable for bushcraft anyway. So you're already taking money off your £300 because those items are sat at home in a drawer, hung up in a cupboard. The other way we're going to save a few quid off that 300 is we are not just going to use stuff from the bushcraft shops. We are also going to use some army surplus gear. I know, army surplus. We have to be a little bit careful of that because we don't want to look like an extra from a bridge too far, or you've just stepped straight out of Call of Duty. So here's a couple of top tips for using army surplus gear. Number one, go for the plain colours. Try not to go for camo. And also mix and match. What I tend to do is go for dark coloured top and light coloured trousers, or vice versa. There are a lot of pluses to using army surplus gear. It's robust, it's reasonably priced, it's usually pretty soldier proof, i.e. the zips last, they don't break. Downside is it's not always the lightest kit, but if we mix it sensibly with a few other sensible civilian type purchases, what we get is an all-round good deal. Now what I've done is I've scoured the internet and my wardrobe, and I've got a whole list of stuff which I'm going to tell you all about. It's a reasonable cost and will serve you very well in the out of doors. How do I know? Well, I'm out here in the woods every day of the week. I have to be. It's my job. Regardless of the weather, I have to be out. So I get to see and use the kit that works, and I get to see the kit that doesn't work. So starting at the top, I normally go for a baseball cap. Most people have a baseball cap at home. The reason I go for it is, well, it keeps the sun out my eyes, it keeps the rain out my eyes, and it also keeps my hood in place when the weather's really, really bad. It's practical, it's not too warm. In the winter when it's really cold, I can put a woolly hat underneath because they're adjustable at the back, and these make a great bit of kit. If you don't have one of these, you could also go for, they do these sort of BDU type caps in a lot of the walk-in shops nowadays, and they're practical. They've got the peak, they've got a soft cotton polycotton mix on the top. They can be proofed up with wax like you can with this one if it's wet, and they're all round generally a good bit of kit and very suitable for what we do out here. Now if you go for the baseball cap or the BDU type cap made by one of the big manufacturers like Raven, it's going to cost you £30. Something like this, I think it's cost me £10-12 off of eBay. If you go onto Decathlon's website, they do a little BDU type cap on their branded 4-class, and I think it was $5.99. So a good cheap solution. It's pretty much the same product, it just hasn't got the expensive brand with it. So hat number one, £6 we'll say. This isn't the only hat I tend to wear. When the weather's cold, I will also use a woolen beanie type hat, a watch cap. And again with those, don't go for the big brands. You can buy a US Army style watch cap made from 100% wool. If you go over to the Bushcraft store, they're $6.95, so £7. They're great. They're double knit, so they're lovely and warm. They roll down, they cover your ears and your neck, and they're a great bit of kit. I've had a couple over the last 30 years. They last a long time as long as you look after them. So that's headwear done. The next thing we look at is the upper body, and we're going to start with a base layer and work out. Now in Bushcraft we tend to go for not only muted colours, but where we can, natural fibres. It makes a lot of sense because we're working around fires, we're also in the outdoors, and so we want something that's going to help to keep us warm when wet. It's going to transport moisture away from our skin, again to help to keep us comfortable, and also you want something that's not going to pick up body odours, and wool is the natural choice. Now merino wool is the one that everyone goes for, and companies like Icebreaker, Smart Wool, Wool Power will do you a long sleeve base layer top, but it's probably going to cost you about £60. Now if you've got to go with merino wool, I would suggest looking at in your local Aldis, and look out for when they're having a bike event or a cycling event, or when they're stocking ski wear, because they do very reasonably priced merino wool mix, less than £20 a top, a whole third less than the big brands, and it's very good stuff. I've had one of their t-shirts, I've had one of their crew neck and roll neck tops, and one of their mid layers, all made of merino. None of them cost me over £22. That good. Now if you haven't got that much to spend, pop over to a company called Forces Uniform Kit, and they sell Italian wool base layers. Now I've had one of these Italian wool base layers that I got from Endicott's about 15 or 16 years ago. They're a strange white colour, they're very lightweight, they're a wool mix, they're a little bit itchy, but wash them a couple of times with fabric conditioner in there and they are great. They are really good. They're not overly warm, but they will keep you comfortable. They will keep you at a good temperature. You won't be sweating out wearing them, and they don't get smelly. They're really good. You can get the top and the bottoms for £15 for the set. So that's virtually nothing at all. So £15 for our top, £7 I think for our headwear, and £6 for a beanie. Again, it's keeping it very, very low cost. Next up, we're going to look at our mid layer. Now obviously the wool shirts, the check shirts, that's what everyone wants to see, but they're not the only ones out there. Again, Forces Uniform and Kit do these Italian wool Norgi type shirts. It's a virgin wool mix. They don't feel particularly warm. The size range is a little bit limited. They do a large, which I take a large, and I'm a 42-inch chest, and the sleeves do tend to come up a little bit short, which I don't mind. I don't like long dangly down sleeves, but they're a great bit of kit, and they only cost 12 quid. Again, that is nothing at all. So next we're going to look at our warm layer. Well, the warm layer, you could use anything. An old wool jumper. If you've got a fibre pile or a fleece jacket at home, that's absolutely ideal, because the only time you're going to be using it is when you stop or in the evening, and it's that extra layer to pull on. Now I use one or two items. The one that I usually use is something that I've used for a very, very long time in its original format, and one that I've got later on, and that is a fleece jacket. And the one I go for is a Heli Hansen Fibre field jacket. I had one of the old ones back in the day, way back in the 80s. A great bit of kit, cut very long, lightweight, thumb loop on the sleeves, and a do-up collar. Doesn't matter if they get wet, they are absolutely perfect. The downside with the original ones is, well, they were a fibre pile, fleecy type stuff. They picked up body odours, and they weren't particularly good around flames. I since have got one from the surplus market, which is Dutch Army surplus, and rumour has it that they were a mixture of wool and some sort of polyester fleece. It's a great bit of kit. It doesn't weigh a great deal. It's great around the fires. It's superbly warm, and it's just that lovely comforting bit of kit you can pull on when you stop, that just brings your body temperature right back up again. Now the Heli Hansen field jacket was £20. For £25 you can get one of the army issue copies of the Snug Pack Softies, a reversible green sand colour jacket. It's a bivvy jacket. They are a great bit of kit. They've got a windproof outer, some sort of thermal wadding on the inside, and they are very, very good. They haven't got a hood, but you can close off the neck with a little draw cord. They're cut nice and long, so they cover your bum. I bought one that was super big, so that it goes over all of my kit. So when I stop and I need to get warm quickly, I can just pull this thing on over everything, zip it up, and I instantly start to warm up. It's also useful to carry as a bit of emergency kit in the back of the car. Crushes down to slightly bigger than a water bottle pouch, so it's not a bad size at all. Lastly, on the upper half, well, some sort of weatherproof-ish outer layer. Yes, I could go for Gore-Tex, but what I tend to go for is something like this, a windproof garment. Now, there's lots of ones out there. They tend to call them field type smocks. A lot of them are based on the British Army smock. Raven do one in polycotton with the bulgy pockets, the big buttons, exactly the same as the issue smock. The little zips, slip ones there, the lower pockets and the big hood. And it's between £400 and £500, which is a lot of money for a polycotton jacket, I think. But it's not the only choice nowadays. Helicon do their excellent pilgrim smock. I'm hearing a lot about that. It's got chest pockets, a roo pocket, underarm vents, very, very good. Those are £88, so already a pretty big saving on your £400 for your top of the market one. You could also have a look at a company called, I think it's Varastelika over in Finland, and they sell surplus gear and also their own branded gear, Sama stuff, and they do a Sama windproof smock, which is almost identical to the British Army windproof, but it also has some hand warmer pockets, it has pit zips underneath to help you vent out. It's still a polycotton mixed fabric, so it's robust, works well around fires. It's only, I think they're about £63–64. So again, a big saving on that £400 for your top of the brand one. If that's too much, well, you could also perhaps look at a surplus jacket, one of the windproof ones, or at least a copy. Forces Uniform and Kit do a plain green copy of the British Army windproof smock in polycotton, £39. What I tend to go for is these, one of the little Belgian type overhead anoraks made of polycotton, roo pocket on the front, little hand warmer pockets, and these are £30. I don't only use it in the winter, it gets used as a shirt. If you looked at my videos, you'll see I tend to wear this year round. It's a great bit of kit. It keeps the wind and the water and the mud and the dirt out of my thermal layers. It gives me a bit of protection from the environment and from insects. For £30, I don't think you can go too far wrong. So that's your top half done. We're now going to look at the lower half. And what I tend to go for is either a pair of plain coloured surplus trousers. The Austrian ones in a sort of grey green are pretty good. Got sensible pockets, super hard wearing ripstop polycotton fabric. They're fast drying, they're really, really comfy. The other ones I go for are the Viper Tactical BDUs. They are a lightweight copy of the US BDU 6-pocket type trouser. They cost £24. The Austrian ones I think are £10, so there's quite a saving there. But again, that's a lot cheaper than £120 for your brand leaders. The Viper Tactical ones, the only thing I can really compare them to, if you're old enough to remember the old tropical combat trousers that everyone had a long time ago, they are pretty much the same as those. They're super comfortable, they're like a pair of pyjama bottoms, they're fast drying, they're windproof, they're great, and they're not a lot of money. As far as socks go, well, again, Army surplus socks. You can buy a 3-pack of Italian wool ones for £12. You can buy the ones that I tend to wear and have worn for about the last 30–35 years, which are the extreme cold weather socks, the sort of off-white creamy ones, and you can get those new for about £7 or £8, or used for about £3–3.50, and they're great socks. Underneath that, a little set of bamboo sock liners. Now, nearly last up, we're going to take a quick look at footwear. Yes, I could go and buy Mindell Dover Extreme type boots at £350 a pair, Am I going to need them out here in the woods? Probably not. A set of surplus boots are very, very good. If you look, I've done a whole video on boots where I look at the Army issue high liability combat boots, both the Hakes and the Outberg. The Outbergs are very, very popular within the bushcraft world. The Hakes ones are very popular with stalkers because they're getting all of that protection. They're getting a very stiff boot with all the rounding, the Gore-Tex, etc. If you like that sort of thing, and again, you're getting it for Army surplus prices. The new boot that I've started using relatively recently is the Ituri patrol boot, which are currently on issue to the British Army. You can pick them up surplus. They've got the nickname base boot because that's what most people tend to wear them for. They wear them around base. They're very, very soft. They are like slippers. They're all leather with a cambrel lining. They're cut not as a full high leg, they're cut as a patrol boot height. They're very soft. They're not amazingly weatherproof, but they are super comfortable. If you're worried about the weather that much, a set of sealskin socks to go inside will keep them out. But they're a great, lightweight, soft, all leather boot. I paid 30 quid surplus for these boots, and they're a great boot. Yes, the leather is nice and soft. For 30 quid, I was getting virtually no wear on the soles. Yes, the uppers looked a bit worn, but actually that was just because they're a soft boot and they've been flexed quite a lot. Once you put them on, as I said, it's like wearing a set of slippers. They are a great little boot for wearing out here in the woods, and they are not going to cost you a lot. So my last little bit would be some sort of waterproof layer. Now, if you really get into it, well, go out and get yourself a Gore-Tex suit. I did a whole video on the lightweight Gore-Tex British Army issue suit. It is camo, but it's going to be in your rucksack most of the time unless it's pouring with rain, so that doesn't matter. But it's a superb little suit. With a few alterations, it's perfect for working outdoors. What I tend to carry most of the time is a little Helicon Tex waterproof poncho. And for out in the woods, it's not only a waterproof, but it can be a shelter, it can be a sunshade, it can be a way of collecting water. It's a great all-round bit of kit. And the joy of it, they're about less than £25 a set. So there you go. At the start, we said about the Ridgeline waterproof smock that was £300. So how much did I actually spend on all this clobber? Well, I said you'd have change. In fact, you'd have just under £100 in change, about 95. When I totted it all up at current prices this week via the internet, it came up at £205 for all of that gear, not just one garment, the whole lot, from your head to your toe, and it will cover you for pretty much year-round use. So if you are new to bushcraft and you're looking to get yourself kitted out, it needn't cost you a fortune. If you've been into bushcraft for a while and you need to replace some bits, again, it needn't cost you a fortune. Yes, I know some people like to have the very, very best. For me personally, I like to have stuff that works and leaves me a few quid to live life as well. So if you enjoyed this video, then remember to hit that thumbs up button, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. If you look in the description box down below, as well as have a link to a lot of the kit that I've just talked about, there is also a Linktree box. If you go on that, that will take you over to my Patreon page. It will also take you over to Instagram and the Greencraft shop and my merch shop. Over at the Greencraft shop, you will find things like the Greencraft woven patch, the leather patch, and a few other bits besides. Now, I have just put up a load of my minimal scarves. There's going to be a few more going up, and there are a load of EDC belt pouches on the way too. So keep your eye on the shop. If you want to get ahead of the queue, then become a patron, because they get a discount on all of those items, and B, they get heads up and first choice on all that kit. The last one, I've had quite a few people have signed up so that they could get one of the limited edition minimal scarves, the 2-colour Coyote brown and emergency orange ones. So if that's for you, if you want to get ahead of the queue, then go over and become a patron. I think that's everything. Oh, not quite. The Minimals Memorial Weekend that's coming up at the beginning of December. If you pop over and see my Facebook page, Greencraft, all the details over there. It's also on my Instagram account as well. Get over there. If you can't come along and join me, then get along to one of the other ones that are being organised, or just organise one yourself for you and your mates. Get out there, raise a few quid for cancer research, and raise a glass in the memory of Morse Kahansky. I think that is everything. I've been Neil, and until next time, stay safe.